All right. So we mentioned this a little bit earlier on the stream. Here's a CNN clip where they act like they broke some news. I don't know what news they thought they were breaking, but here's a little bit of a bizarre segment.
Assange's argument for not being extradited to the U.S.
There are several. One of them at the most basic level is that he has some mental health issues and a concern that he may take his life if he's moved to the US to face trial. Another is that this is politically motivated. He was just a journalist doing his job, so it would breach his human rights if he was transferred to the US. Quite extraordinary claim now coming in. The last hour or so.
Oh, just in the last hour.
To the court.
Just in the last hour, not say 3 years ago. No, this just came in the last hour.
Some mental court. Quite extraordinary claim now coming in just in the last hour or so that his lawyers have presented to the court. Obviously, we need to investigate this further, but this is always all presented in open court. According to Assange's lawyer, there is compelling evidence now in existence that senior CIA and US administration officials requested a detailed set of plans and drawings of the embassy, the Ecuadorian embassy. You'll remember he was holed up in for all of that time.
Holed up.
And they are suggesting that President Trump at the time himself requested options, and sketches were even drawn up. When we're talking about options, the legal team is basically suggesting that there was evidence of a CIA plot to kidnap or assassinate Julian Assange. These are extraordinary claims.
Well, there are a lot of new details coming out. And again, those accusations have to be verified.
Verified and looked through. There's a whole ass article, lady.
This was printed in Yahoo News in 2021.
September of 2021.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're saying it was just released in the last hour. It was just presented in court this afternoon that there's evidence of a CIA Pompeo-led plot to assassinate Julian Assange. This is The Guardian. CIA officials under Trump discussed assassinating Julian Assange, says a special report. Notice the date there, September 27th, 2021. This was the day after the report came out in Yahoo News. Senior CIA officials during the Trump administration discussed abducting and even assassinating WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange, according to a U.S. report citing former officials. Like I said, folks, this is almost 3 full years ago at this point. The discussions on kidnapping or killing Assange took place in 2017, Yahoo News reported, when the fugitive Australian activist was entering his 5th year sheltering in the Ecuadorian embassy. Notice they'll call him everything but a journalist. They'll call him an activist, because if they call him journalist, then they have to admit they're actually criminalizing journalism.
I tweeted about that today. Please stop calling him a whistleblower.
Activist,
he is not a whistleblower.
Right. Hacker, leaker, whistleblower, everything but what he actually is.
Yes.
Published, journalist.
Publisher. Publisher's acceptable. They won't use either of those words, though.
No, they won't use either of those words.
No.
When the fugitive Australian activist was entering his 5th year sheltering in the Ecuadorian embassy, the then CIA director, Mike Pompeo, and his top officials were furious about WikiLeaks' publication of Vault 7, a set of CIA hacking tools, a breach which the agency deemed to be the biggest data loss in its history. Pompeo and the CIA leadership, quote, were completely detached from reality because they were so embarrassed about Vault 7, Yahoo cites a former Trump national security official as saying, quote, they were seeing blood. Some senior officials inside the CIA and the Trump administration went as far as to request sketches or options for killing Assange. There seemed to be no boundaries, a former senior counterterrorist official was quoted as saying. The CIA declined to comment. The kidnapping or murder of a civilian accused of publishing leaked documents with no connection to terrorism would have triggered global outrage. Well, yeah. I mean, did it? Yeah. Not enough. Pompeo raised eyebrows in 2017 by referring to WikiLeaks as a non-state hostile intelligence service. Again, just absolutely absurd.
Insane.
The Yahoo report said that it was a significant designation. Yeah, sounds like a significant designation, as it implied a green light for a more aggressive approach to the pro-transparency group by CIA operatives who could treat it as an enemy espionage organization. Barry Pollock, Assange's U.S. lawyer, did not respond to a request for comment, but told Yahoo News, as an American citizen, I find it absolutely outrageous that our government would be contemplating kidnapping or assassinating somebody without any judicial process simply because he had published truthful information. Quote, my hope and expectation is that the UK courts will consider this information and it will further bolster its decision not to extradite to the United States, he added. Now, I did what I don't like to usually do in these instances, which is I grabbed a source that was describing another source. But the reason why I didn't use the official Yahoo News article is because, as you could see right there under the byline where it says by Zach Dorfman, Sean D. Naylor, and Michael Isikoff, you see that's a 39-minute read. This was a very well-documented and well-sourced article. Not only was it a well-documented and well-sourced article, but you can't even say, well, Pompeo denies the allegations, because 2 days after this was published, I make no apologies. Pompeo says Trump administration was protecting sensitive information. So you don't even have a denial of the charge. You have a very well-documented case that there was a plot to kidnap and kill this guy. And then when asked about it, Pompeo doesn't even say, no, I didn't. No, I didn't. And CNN puts on the air this afternoon, well, it just came to our attention in the last hour that his legal team is making the case that the CIA plotted against him. What are you talking about? I mean, you gave your theory as to why they had to come up with that earlier in the stream, but because we're going to clip this separately, do you mind running that by us again? Because it's just insane.
They have to say that, because they can't, if they say, hey, this thing happened 3 years ago, but we didn't report on it, they look like assholes. But they're assholes. I mean, it is very clear that
liars.
Yes,
brazen liars.
I mean, yes, absolutely, they are brazen liars. And the idea that, and that was very interesting to me, that it's a Yahoo News article. Michael Isikoff wrote this thing along with Zach Dorfman, and I forget the other guy's name. I can look it up because I feel bad leaving him out. Oh, I have it pulled up already. Sean Naylor, Sean D. Naylor.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a massive, as you said, 39-minute read, hugely sourced, and
with first-person interviews, not just sources of documents, but they interviewed Trump officials, they interviewed people,
named people. It's not like unnamed sources said. There are people who named themselves in this article. It's a story, Keaton. This is a story. Are you joking? The president of the United States, at the highest levels of his administration, is drawing up plots to assassinate a journalist on foreign soil simply for publishing the truth. That's what they were doing. And nobody picked it up, really. And then you have CNN breaking 1 hour ago. There's now evidence to say that there were
They didn't say there was evidence. They said that the Assange legal team presented evidence, but that they have to vet it. As if it hasn't been out there for years with evidence to back it up.
Yes, thank you for that correction. Yeah, you're absolutely. We got to make sure that this is legit. It's, again, Michael Isikoff did that for you, homegirl. You don't have to do that. It's already done. And I'm really glad that they mentioned Vault 7, because that, in my opinion, was the tipping point. Vault 7. And first of all, we need to set it up just briefly. Vault 7, as it mentions in that article, Julian Assange is already 5 years into illegal and arbitrary detention in the Ecuadorian embassy. He knows that he is public enemy number one of the world's largest empire. And then he publishes Vault 7. I mean, that's pretty fucking ballsy. The largest CIA leak in history. If you haven't read Vault 7, please go do it just for your own personal knowledge. There is so much information in there about the incredibly nefarious things that the CIA is able to do. Spy on you through your TV, mess with your car, your vehicle, the computer in your car, which could have lead to unaccountable assassinations, obviously. I mean, just a whole host of things that are really terrifying in Vault 7. And Mike Pompeo took that fucking personally. And he, his very first speech, he was appointed to the CIA director position. And his very first speech was just a month after Julian Assange and WikiLeaks released Vault 7. And damn near his entire speech, his first speech, given, as the newly appointed director of the CIA, was dedicated to Julian Assange, and in fact calling them a non-state, hostile non-state, whatever they
Wow.
call them, intelligence service.
Wow, I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
So yes, Mike Pompeo definitely took that personally, and there are multiple court cases regarding a lot of the stuff. He was also involved with the UC Global situation. So yeah, I mean, definitely Mike Pompeo was, I would say, more Mike Pompeo was at the helm of this than Trump was, but Trump was certainly willing to go along with it. No question about it.
Well, yeah, I mean, Trump never really had the balls or the curiosity to
No.
stand up to anybody, because that would require putting in the time to actually formulate an opinion about something, right?
Right.
He just wanted to be a manager. I mean, he
Yeah.
gave Jeff Sessions attorney general because he was the first senator to endorse him.
Draining the
Right?
swamp.
And that's it.
He-
Right. Exactly. They didn't want to think about it. Right.
Right.
Indeed.
Please clap.